Ladies and gentlemen, the followers on our channel are very big on our Boston Bruin podcast, especially Terry O'Reilly and Stan Johnson. What ironically, they hold a world record along with 9 other players on the 77-78 Bruins. And you're saying to yourself, a world record. I don't think so this will ever be done ever again. And I say this with all sincerity. That season, they had a very diverse team, came within 2 games of winning the Stanley Cup against Montreal. They had 11 players on the team that scored 20 goals or more. Now, everybody talks about how well the team did despite some of Cherry's bad coaching decisions. But how it worked out that year, ladies and gentlemen, the big three on the team, Terry O'Reilly, Jean Ratelle, and Peter McNab, had 29, 25, and 41 goals, respectively. Brad Park, very strong on defense, a first-team All-Star that year, had 22 goals. The veteran Wayne Cashman at 24, an old pal of mine, Rick Middleton, I interviewed him a few years ago at an alumni game in Woodstock in 2010 at 25. The underrated Greg Shepard at 23. The former Vancouver Canuck Bobby Schmatz at 27. The defensive-minded Don Marcotte at 20. And Stan Johnson had a career year that year, 52 points in 68 games, 27 goals. And the other one that a lot of people didn't think was going to reach 20 goals was Bob Miller. Now, you got to understand that year there could have been 12, but John Winsick, spending maybe a few too many minutes in a penalty box, had 16. Now, ironically, O'Reilly had 211 minutes in penalties, and Johnson had 116. So O'Reilly, despite the fact, he had so much time in the sin bin. But with this team, it was very diverse in the power play. O'Reilly had 5 power play goals. Ratelle had 3. McNab had 5. Obviously, Brad Park played a lot on the point side. He had 9. Cashman had 1. Middleton had 2. Shepard had 5. Schmach had 4. Marcotte had 4. Miller had 1. And Winsick had 1. Stan Johnson had no power play goals that year. But the big shooter, of course, for Boston that year was Middleton and Shepard. Shepard had 7 game winners, and Middleton had 6. And the short-handed goals, again, Shepard had 1, Schmach 3, and Marcotte 2, with Bob Miller getting 1. Now, that season, ladies and gentlemen, they had a very, very good offense, and conceivably, 333 goals would be comparable to about 400 now because the league was a little bit different back then. But being in the association with the Bruins, Sabres, and the Leafs in that division, it was pretty tough. That year, Boston won first with 113 points, 51 victories. The Gilles Perreault-led Buffalo Sabres had 44 wins, 105 points. And Toronto was very strong that year, too, as well, because he made it to the semifinals, knocking off the Islanders and losing 4 straight to Montreal with 92 points. Now, defensively that year, the Bruins were quite good with Cheevers and Gilbert. And I think they just basically ran out of gas because they had a lot of postseason situations that drained them physically and mentally. Now, the postseason, again, Park had 9 goals, McNab had 8, Schmatz had 7, O'Reilly had 5, Cashman had 4, Ratelle had 3, Shepard had 2, Marcotte had 5, and Middleton had 5. So, again, a very diverse lineup. They were a paper-cut lineup. They could win 7-1, and 7 different players would have scored. This is why it wasn't like a Gretzky team or Lafleur or Perreault where one player dominated. They literally were a team. And ironically, ladies and gentlemen, you got to understand this. If you have 12 players, right, that get 20 goals, that means 4 lines in whatever machinations getting at least 20 goals. You'll never see that again. So, ladies and gentlemen, what I want you to do is go on our podcast channel and listen to the different podcasts we've done on the Bruins of that era. And let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen, that 78 team drew a lot of interest in Canada. It's always been considered Canada's number 3 team, even though it's the Bruins. And this was after Bobby Orr, after Esposito. This was the Brad Park Bruins, I used to call them. And like I said, it wouldn't be for Montreal Canadiens who would have won 4 straight cups. And they had some tough losses in the playoffs as well. That's how it goes. So, ladies and gentlemen, check out the statistics from 78. Maybe go to the Nesson archives and read about them. But really stands out for me, it's that year that Terry O'Reilly had and Stan Johnson. Career years both. And tremendous results. Thanks for listening, and go Bruins go.